At this point, it's practically a Sunday ritual. Lindsey Graham shows up on the morning shows to defend the latest indefensible stunt Donald Trump pulled that week. And almost inevitably, it ends with Graham shouting, flailing, and melting down on live TV. This weekend was no different, but there was a twist. Trump's closest outside advisor, the ever-controversial Laura Loomer, dropped a bombshell in a deposition, revealing something deeply personal about Lindsey Graham that he's likely been trying to keep under wraps for his entire political career. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's talk about why Graham was already on edge before the interview even began. Trump's humiliating political failure in Alaska, which Senator Chris Murphy recently dissected in brutal detail, had already put Graham in defense mode. By the time he hit Fox News, he wasn't just defending Trump, he was unraveling. And the meltdown that followed was one for the books. Trump was asked what his message will be to President Zelensky on Monday. He said to make a deal. What is your message to President Zelensky heading into these high-stake talks tomorrow? Well, listen, I would love to tell him that there is still a bipartisan consensus to support Ukraine in the United States Senate. But as I mentioned to you, we actually have a very tough sanctions bill that gives the president the ability to levy these new sanctions against Russia. But the Senate leadership won't even bring it up for a vote. Why? Because in the Congress, the Republicans essentially work for President Trump. And if President Trump tells them that his #1 priority is to keep Vladimir Putin happy, not to actually levy the kind of sanctions that would create a realistic negotiating table, Senate Republicans are going to listen. So this is a really dangerous moment because Senate Republicans, House Republicans are not willing to support Ukraine if Donald Trump won't give them the green light. And as you saw coming out of that summit, it seems that Trump's #1 priority is just keeping his friend Vladimir Putin happy. Let me ask, thank God for Senator Chris Murphy, who's finally saying out loud what too many in Washington tiptoe around. It's not just Donald Trump. It's Republican senators themselves who are blocking a path to a peaceful resolution in Ukraine. That point cannot be stressed enough. These are the same Republicans who wear Ukraine pins on their lapels, who love to lecture the world about defending freedom and projecting American power. Yet when the moment comes to stand up for our allies, they crumble. Why? Because they're terrified of crossing Donald Trump. The party that tries to project macho toughness, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Mark Wayne Mullen, all of them still kneels to Trump and by extension to Putin. They are not strong. They are pathetic. And Lindsey Graham exemplifies that hypocrisy. His failure to defend Ukraine is not just a political stance. It's a betrayal of the values he claims to champion on the global stage. Now, Laura Loomer's deposition has dragged Graham's personal life back into the headlines, accusing him of hiding his sexuality, a claim she doubled down on under oath. Whether her statements are true or not, the point is this. Graham's credibility as a leader is shot because he has spent his entire career preaching values he refuses to live by. But make no mistake, that's not even the primary reason he deserves criticism today. The real outrage is that Lindsey Graham continues to cave to Trump instead of standing up for Ukraine and our Democratic allies. A failure we saw on full display in his latest Fox News meltdown. When it comes to land, I'm going to leave it up to Ukraine. But here's the reality. You're not going to evict every Russian soldier from Ukraine. That's the reality. There's Russian control and there's Russian ownership. Be very careful about rewarding Putin by giving him title to Ukrainian land through force of arms. That could jeopardize Taiwan. And if you're not thinking about the effect a deal in Russia, Ukraine has on China, Taiwan, you're making a big mistake. So I've got all the confidence in the world in President Trump to our European allies. Up your game. Quit complaining about what we're not doing in America and do more yourself. Put tariffs on every country that buys Russian oil and gas cheaply to benefit Putin's war machine. Do what Trump's doing. So Lindsey Graham is once again pointing fingers at Europe, accusing our allies of not doing enough on tariffs and sanctions. The very measures Donald Trump himself refuses to impose. There are no meaningful tariffs or sanctions on Russia. None. Trump isn't punishing Putin. Instead, he's slapping tariffs on Canada, the UK, France, on our friends and allies while giving Russia a free pass. And Graham's excuse that sanctions wouldn't be effective.